Joining us for the first time on Loudwire Nights is Diamante, who was born in California and is Mexican, also Italian, right? So I feel like it almost should be Diamante, right? In Spanish, which is diamond in Spanish. Like, are we Americanizing your name and it's really Diamante?
I mean, kinda, yeah. It's supposed to be Diamante, and it means diamond in Spanish and Italian. I guess the story is that's the name that my parents kind of compromised on because they wanted a name that was something in each of their languages. And yeah, just growing up in the United States, it's hard for people to pronounce it, so it kind of just morphed into Diamante, which I'm totally cool with. And a lot of people who know me just end up calling me Dia because it's way
Okay.
easier.
Every time I say it, I'm like, man, I know this is supposed to be Diamante, and I'm Cuban, and I'm just like not doing this name the service it deserves. All right, it's good to know. You're currently 22 years old, 22 years young. Let's talk a little bit about how you broke into the music industry, and let's inspire some little girls out there.
Yeah. I mean, in my mind, I've been doing this for, I guess, 10 years now, right? So I moved with my family to LA from Boston when I was 12. And like literally the second I got here, I was doing musical theater shows. I was going to like vocal coaches. I was playing shows on the Sunset Strip at like the Whiskey a Go-Go and the Roxy. I was getting in the studio with producers and, writing and cutting songs. And it's been that long of a time, but I feel that people have only just now really started, discovering who I am and my music within these last 2 years, and that's has a lot to do with getting signed to 11/7, putting out my first album. But it has been a long time coming for the people who have been with me.
It's always like that. Oh, overnight success. Yeah, no. It's hardly ever an
No,
overnight success.
definitely not.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, like a lot of people first heard the name Diamante, and I'm saying it right from now on. That's it. It's over. On rock radio, anyway, when you popped up on Hear Me Now by Bad Wolves, of course. So let's talk a little
Yes.
bit about what was it like working with Tommy Vext and company. And was Zombie already huge, like when you recorded Hear Me Now?
I remember Zombie, I think it was not at its peak, but it was really gaining momentum, and I remember that everyone was really excited about it. Bad Wolves had been a fairly newly signed band to the label, and they hit me up back in April, and they said, hey, we have this band called Bad Wolves, and they have this song that they really want you to sing on. And so I heard the song, and the minute I heard it, I said, absolutely, because I fell in love with the song. I mean, Hear Me Now is an incredible song, so I said, yeah, let's do it. And then I think maybe a few days later, they're like, okay, Dia, you got to get in the studio. We're recording it today. So I ran to the studio. I met Tommy for the first time. We actually filmed the music video that day that we met, which is so crazy. And I think a couple of days after that, the song was released. And ever since then, it's been a whirlwind. I mean, the response to Hear Me Now is just massive. And so because of that, I actually ended up going on tour with Bad Wolves for a lot of their summer tours and singing the song with them every night on stage.
Now, two different questions on that. We'll talk about how the song went to number one. But from what I understand, when you got that call, like "We Need You Now," you were in class. Like, are you still in college, or did you already kind of put it on the back burner because you're gonna be on the road all year?
Well, yes. So that story, I was sitting in Redlands, California, which is where I go to school, University of Redlands. And that's when my manager called me in the middle of class and said, you have to get to LA right now. They need you in the studio to cut the song. And I told him, like, I'm kind of like 2 hours away. I don't know if I can make it there. He's like, no. It's like, it's not up for discussion. You got to get there now.
I think it's so cool that you were or still are in college. What's your major, if I might ask?
I study business, and so right now I'm on a leave of absence, and the way that I do it is when I'm, just writing, recording, chilling, not being out on the road, I do semesters. And then whenever they tell me, like, Dia, you got a tour coming up, that's when I let my school know, hey, I'm not going to be able to show up X days, these amount of weeks. And so I go on like a short leave of absence, and then I kind of just, resume my classes after I come back from tour, and that's how it's pretty much been for the last 2 years. And I'm excited because I'm only, I think, maybe a year away from getting my degree. And it's definitely been much longer than it should have taken. If I had just gone straight like every other, normal college student, then I would have already had my degree by now. But I'm kind of living this double life, and I really want to have this education and get this degree while still pursuing my dreams in music.
Such a good example you're setting. And you need that because the business side of the music industry could be a little bit shady, not, your people specifically, but like you need to know what's in that contract. We keep seeing that time and time again. So I think that's such a good example.
Absolutely.
Totally.
And so, so I raced to the studio and I ended up making it there that day, thankfully. And since then, I've transferred to a different campus that's in LA, so I don't have to drive all the way out to Redlands anymore, which was, really hard for me. So hopefully this last year of school just flies by.
Could you imagine if you're like, nah, listen, I'm sorry, I have a test, I can't make it, and then 5 months later you hear some other girl on the track, it's at #1 on the chart?
No! No, that's why I literally told my teacher I just got up in the middle of class and she was like, where are you going? And I said, I gotta go. I'm so sorry. I'll explain later.
That's awesome. All right, let's talk about Haunted, right, which is the current single. It's about to enter the top 20, which is very exciting.
Yes.
Yay! It sounds like somebody did a number on you and then Haunted was written. So was it based on a true story? How much of that story can you share with us?
Oh, yeah. I feel like most of my songs are based off of personal experiences and true stories because for me that's important because I want to be able to really mean what I'm singing when I'm singing it, and people have definitely done a number on me. And I love taking these negative, bad experiences and turning them into these empowering songs so that something ultimately good comes out of that, So with Haunted, it's not really about a specific person, but it's just a recurring theme that happens in my life. And it's basically, when someone breaks my heart, I'm always the one who's like devastated, and it always takes me longer to get over a situation or to get over somebody. But once I am over it, that's it. I'm done. There's no going backwards. And of course, every time I reach that point of I'm done, that's when the person wants to come back into my life and say, hey, how's it going? How you been? And I think it's a lot because they realize that they messed up and it's just too late by that point. So I kind of wanted to have this cool paranormal type song where it's like I'm literally haunting you because that's how much you messed up and I'm over it at that point.
So good. Speaking about bad turned into good, Fight Like a Girl is also an example of that. It's off the debut album, Coming In Hot. For those unfamiliar with your sound, I guess it's hard to explain the sound. I understand this, but as best you can, obviously Lo Siento was super unexpected, but you talk to us about it.
Yeah, I guess Coming In Hot as a debut album was really me, kind of defining the sound and coming into my own. And I like to describe it this way, and a lot of other people have described it this way too. It's kind of like hard rock with that 80s flair, plus that sort of modern alternative edge. So I do love to pull from the 80s. My influences are definitely like Joan Jett, Pat Benatar, Stevie Nicks, those women, but then also bring in that I guess 2019 now, but at the time, that 2018 sound. So
speaking of 2019, I see that you've been writing lately, as most vocalists continually do. Where is the music taking you this year?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm literally at the very beginning stage of writing new music. So everything's pretty new. I haven't, honed in on anything yet, but the stuff that I have been writing is really exciting. I definitely just want to push the envelope even more this time around. So, if I had cool guitars in the last album, I want those guitars to be cranked, 10 this time around. And lyrically, I also just want to keep being honest to the point where you're listening to my songs and it's like you're listening to my diary. that's really what I want this second album to sound like.
Thank you for that. You're going to be on the road with Breaking Benjamin soon. I know that travel was on your bucket list. It's on most of our bucket lists, right? But you're actually doing it. We can't afford it. You've done quite a bit. You've gone out with Bad Wolves, Shinedown, Five Finger Death Punch, and others. What was the last place you went to for the first time that you were just like mind blown?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, two places actually. I went to Seattle for the first time this past summer, and I really love that city. I didn't get to explore it as much as I wanted, but I just love the vibe, and I've always wanted to go to Seattle, so that was cool. And Portland, Maine was another one. And that one, I actually got to walk around and, you know, go to the docks and see the boats. Because my dad, like growing up, he had a boat, so he was super into that whole lifestyle. So it's just cool to be back on the East Coast and kind of just live in that world again for a little bit, even if it was just for a day.
No, it's so Seattle. Like I haven't been to Portland, so I can't speak on it. But there's such rock towns, and it's such a chill vibe. It's very kind of unique. I fell in love with Seattle when I went there too.
Yeah.
The final question is just what else is happening in Diamante land in 2019 besides Breaking Benjamin? What else is coming up?
Well, yes, besides the Breaking Benjamin run in April and just, you know, being in the studio as much as I can and writing as much as I can before I leave, the goal for the rest of 2019 really is to just be out on the road. I do have more tours lined up and more show dates. I can't announce them yet.
It's a secret.
But there's definitely going to be a lot of more shows for 2019.
Excellent. It was a pleasure talking to you. I am 100% convinced we will speak again. Best of luck to you, girl.
Yes. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great one.